Friends, despite the fact that the company Apple well agreed to treat differently, but still here are waiting for a smartphone company, fans as well as haters all. Because the guys from Cupertino know how to surprise, and here is this year will be no exception. iPhone 14 line is not the most controversial in the history of the company as a whole. It is because Apple decided to change their approach to create smartphones. This year we will criticize the new iPhone with you less and all because, for example, in the new iPhone from Apple company will remove here about time the most hated by all fringes and instead make a pair of neat notches in the display, well, and a pair because one people for the front camera, the second will already be for Face ID sensors. Honestly no, this is some kind of strange decision after all the sense of making a cutout in the screen instead of fringes solely in order to leave them as much as possible while not useful display area, and here's a double cutout, especially the weather, and does not make, although no, I still have a theory why they did so. The body of the smartphone is likely to remain exactly the same as last year, i.e. flat frame and back protruding camera and everything in that spirit. Well, at least most sources say that it will be so, and by the way, the design of the camera module will not change as hinted at in the leaked photo protective cases where you can clearly see all these here are cutouts. This leak also confirms that basic iPhone 14 will have 2 cameras but the Pro will have 3. Now it's time to talk about the iPhone variants that Apple will introduce this year. So in the new baseline there will be an iPhone 14 with a 6.1-inch display and a large iPhone with a 6.7 screen, and in the Pro line there will be an iPhone 14 with a 6.1-inch display and an iPhone 14 Pro with a 6.7 screen. I think this iPhone 14 Plus is gonna be the biggest seller. Like the big screen fans only had to get the Pro Max, now they'll have a cheaper alternative. This year Apple company is still strong and will divide the basic model from more expensive, and here now I will tell you in what will be the main differences. And so what will be the difference of the basic model iPhone 14? Well, firstly the display. Yes, I know there were rumors that in the new iPhones this entry level to put 90Hz panels, but unfortunately this will not happen, so only the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro Max will get a limited OLED display with a fast refresh rate of 120Hz. And by the way, it was also confirmed by Rose Yan, which I want to remind you that very often gave out accurate information about the company's future products, and in addition he has 25 years experience in the display industry, so I'm sure he knows what he's talking about. So he said that the company is Apple banal enough here LTPO displays to put them directly in all models, because here it is not only that the company Apple just greedy, but also that they cannot afford to make, well, that still looks strange. So this is the situation. Always on display is that thing which allows you to display there the clock and notifications on the locked screen. In general, Mark Gurman from Bloomberg back in June said that it will add a function always on display in the new iPhone, and with the release of iOS 16 saying here is his function, he said that such Apple Watch iPhone 14 Pro can display widgets, display weather activity, various other information that is saying always on display. Note, he mentioned only about the model, so we can assume that this feature will only appear in the 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro. Most likely Apple was able to add this feature always on display iPhone 14 Pro solely because of the display. Yes, because such screens can reset the refresh rate to a minimum and thereby save battery power, so do not worry. Here's adding from this always on display at not much affect the battery life of the smartphone. At the same time, the rest of the base iPhone 14 will have a conventional screens that cannot downgrade the refresh rate and will not be able to save battery life, so if you add the always on, the battery will run out but too fast. The new iPhone anyways. Apple will also launch a new mobile processor, but as for me I think it is not necessary, because also the most A15 Bionic was, well, I would say too powerful. At least it typed the most and handled the rendering and opening of any large files best. The iPhone 13 Pro can be considered the most viable flagship in 2022. All the same, 10 hours of active screen is impressive, and here's judging by the latest leaks Apple has already found a way to improve even A15, and here's a new iPhone should break the record performance according to sources. Now this A16 will be an improved process technology as the 3rd generation, so some improvements to the chip will still be, such as Apple plans to make the chip itself a bit larger to fit on it as possible more transistors, and here if in A15 there were from 15 billion in the new 16 they should be from 18 to 20.